Hey guys, Malagant here. This video is going to be towards the people that are like sort of just starting either Path of Exile 2 or coming to the maps for the first time, approaching the maps for the first time, and don't necessarily know how to approach things, a little bit perhaps lost. The reason that I'm making this video is because like I'm receiving a lot of comments from new people that they don't necessarily know what the hell is going on for the most part, but they're really enjoying their time. I'm incredibly happy. Um, to have you watching my content. The past month actually has been pretty insane, and I'm hoping that like I'll be helpful with this video to those people especially, because most of the things that I'll say over here is not necessarily going to be like, okay, this is how I juice my maps. This is literally how you should be doing. Not at all. I'll try to basically like show the ropes a little bit when it comes to what the game is offering you and how you can take advantage of these things and what my approach is for the most part. I'll show that towards the end as well. But I would like to explain the logic so that like you can at the very least decide on how much you want to commit to certain thing and what you're going to be getting at the end of this as well. Before starting this all, I also would like to say don't give in to FOMO. It is very easy, so fear of missing out. It is very easy for you to feel like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that as well, and to obtain the certain or like perfect results, I am missing this anyways, so there's no point doing the other thing. Don't approach like that. It's certainly fine to be, doing it halfway, tiny little bit, giving it a little bit here, a little bit there. That is how I play, literally. And I'm doing okay for the most part. Somebody looking at the stash might say that, holy, like you have a lot of currency. I actually probably do, but I also want to point out that like this is the game. This right here for me is the game. So like I'm maybe at the start for me because like I can build up to so much more and buy myself some items that I cannot even like reach yet. For instance, there's a ring that I would like to buy. It's called Calandra's Touch. I am halfway there. Everything combined here, I'm I think halfway there. So like there's always something that you can target, and I think that is the kind of the game. That's all said, let's start. How we can take advantage of things in this game when it comes to like improving our loot, improving our efficiency a little bit maybe, or getting the most out of our runs, of our maps especially. I want to explain two different mods in this game, or affixes. One of them is the quantity of items, and the other one is the rarity of items. Most of the time, people are referring to rarity as magic find, and there's some sort of like a diminishing return to this. There's a huge difference between 0% magic find character and 100% or even 150% magic find character. So like 150% rarity of items found. Right over here it says 55% increased rarity of items found. So if I can have about 150%, that is a very, very good spot. That's a very sweet spot to have. There are lots of like videos out there if you would be interested in. You could search on YouTube to find what is like the sweet spot for like rarity of items, what sort of like diminishing returns, and a little bit of like a research kind of thing. And you can also see how much you have by coming over here to like your main ability, for instance, and you can see that on kill effects, slain monsters are going to be 179. This is for my character, so that is the rarity that I'm running. I would be okay with like 140. I would also be okay with like 200. I don't think it is necessary for me to go higher than this right now. At least it feels that way because of, again, the diminishing returns. What does the item rarity do? So every single item in the game, the orbs, for instance, we can give an example of the orbs. Like, for instance, the Scroll of Wisdom and then Divine Orb. These type of things, they have their own weight, right? Like how valuable they are. And as more item rarity I have, the better items, the higher weights, are getting a little bit like higher chance to drop. That's pretty much it. But there's something that is like very interesting in this game. It's the quantity of items. When you're opening a map over here, you slot in a map into this node and then like you open it. As it opens up, the game is deciding how many items you're going to be getting from that map in total. How many items are going to be on the floor dropping. So Let's give it a number here. It's 1000 perhaps. So as I open this map, the map is opening with 1000 items to drop, assuming I'm going to kill everything and open every single chest. And then comes the quantity of items affix or mod, which is very unique because you cannot really get this from your gear. You need to be getting this from elsewhere. And quantity of items are incredible. This is even more important than the rarity because there's no diminishing return. The more percentage you can support a map with, quantity of items, the more items are going to drop on the floor. So if you were to get 1 divine from that map, you could actually get 2 divines perhaps. If you were going to get 1000 total number of items, you could actually end up getting 2000 if you have 100% increased quantity. Right now, with the things that I'm meddling and doing, it is possible for me to run about like 180% quantity reliably most of the time. And then sometimes with some RNG, I can see even above 300% quantity of items dropping from a map. And you can certainly feel that like it is just raining up to a point that like when you hold Alt down to show all the items on the floor, you could actually have your client lagging. That's how many items are going to be on the floor. So remember, when you reach 100 or 150-ish rarity, you can certainly say that like this is a little bit enough. I don't really need more. But the quantity, it never stops. And we are going to be talking about that right now. How can we get quantity onto our maps? One of the better ways is obviously these tablets, right? As you're pathing in your atlas, there are going to be these towers that you're going to be slotting in tablets. What you can do is in the search bar, you can write in quotations, you can write quantity of items, and then it's going to be showing you the tablets that are rolling quantity of items on them or already rolled. But obviously remember that you need to roll them first. Some of the tablets are dropping to the ground without any mods on them. Some of them are dropping with only 1 mod on them. And at most, it can only have 2. They can only have 2. So you need to first transmute them and then afterwards augment them. You can do that by taking these orbs into your bags and just piling all of your tablets into a stash. And when you actually click a transmute first, it's actually going to be highlighting the tablets that you can use a transmute on. So the ones that have absolutely no mods on so far. And then afterwards you should click augmentation. And then it will be highlighting the ones that you can use an augment in. And when you end up using both of these things, the tablet is going to be prepared. And then you can go ahead and search for quantity of items one more time. And those are the ones that I actually like to run. I don't necessarily run anything else, but I could certainly see some certain runs such as like ritual and experience increase. Those things can definitely like come handy as well. I don't really do too much. In brackets here, or parentheses, I should say that like if you are running no rarity at all, you can still get very much rewarded in this game. One of them is running the Sanctum with proper relics. The other thing is running ritual with ritual tablets with a little bit of like density of monsters. So the more monsters that you can roll on your maps and the more monsters that you can roll on the tablets that you're running is going to be buffing how much tribute you're going to be getting from rituals. And your rarity doesn't necessarily matter too much at all, because at the end of the day, rituals is going to reward you from that like ritual window. And you're trying to basically find some good omens and perhaps audience to the king as well. Now, tablets is one way to buff our quantity, right? So how else can we buff our quantity? Let's get that out of the way. It's another thing is that like these passives. So in my experience, this is one of the better looking passive trees out there. I think there's a mistake over here that I see actually. Apparently I forgot to respec out of this. So this last point, I usually put it to quantity of items, or you could also put it to more tablet drops. Increased quantity of the tablets found in your maps. I want to talk about something very interesting here before going further. I want to talk about something like this. So it says increased chance to drop jewels, increased chance to drop gold, increased chance to drop basic currency. I believe this is not buffing the quantity of the loot. So you could actually like find yourself in a worse spot where like you're losing your divine into a jewel maybe. You know what I'm trying to say? So this only increases like the weight of those type of loot within the 1000 drop that you were already going to get. So I don't like this so much, but I would probably play with this if I was more self-found. I am okay with trading. So why is this type of like tree is favorable for the most part? It is because we're increasing the effect of the tablets, right? We're increasing the effect of modifiers on the waystone per tablet affecting it. We're sometimes having a chance to double the effect of our tablets. And then we're getting more from either the prefixes or the suffixes of our maps that we are opening. So if it's the prefix that is being buffed, and at the same time by chance we unite that with the, you know, double the effect of our tablets, we're out of nowhere, we're now running like an incredible map. And this sometimes certainly happens. We are increasing the quantity of items if you want, obviously, from here. And then we can increase the explicit modifiers of all the modifiers on the waystones, on the maps. This right here is pretty good. The quantity of and rarity, just passive upgrade. So rare and unique monsters, unique is the bosses, and rare monsters, you know, the yellow guys. They are getting 1 to 2 additional modifiers. This basically buffs how many items a rare is going to be trying and drop for you. Or sometimes it actually buffs the quality of the drops as well. And then there's this guy over here, which just increases the amount of rares in your map. But I don't need you to be running exactly this type of a setup. I would like you to look around a little bit. If you want to like prioritize experience, for instance, like the twin threats plus the expanding horde, just pack size in your map is probably a good way to go for forward. But this is the one that I figured, you know, I would like to run in the long run. And this is mostly what I'm doing unless I'm running a Citadel. As you might know, Citadels are giving you fragments. And those fragments are very valuable. And you can actually increase the amount of fragments that you get by increasing the quantity of waystones that you find as well. So you could certainly, like, you know, try to get more chances of waystones by clicking here instead while running a Citadel yourself. And also, let's talk about right over here now. So we have increased our quantity of items that are dropping from the tablets, and we have increased our quantity of items dropping from our Atlas passives, right? And we have buffed our tablets from our Atlas passives, and we have also increased the amount of rare monsters in our Atlas passives. Now, what else can we do? We can try and like figure out a zone that is buffing quite a few maps with several different towers. So something like this. Look over here. We have at the very least 5 towers on my screen, right? You can certainly find something better. Well, sometimes this is also affecting. So like 6 towers. Sometimes this is also affecting. For some of them, it's 7 towers. So you want to run the ones that are like united by all of this, the last basically. You want to reach the towers first and then build up all of the towers with tablets that are giving you quantity, and then the ones that are like in the intersection of all these spheres is gonna basically be buffed all the way with all of the quantity coming combined. Now you're hoping to RNG a little bit that like your Atlas passive, the 20% chance to like double the effect is gonna proc on these maps. Sometimes it does, and it feels absolutely amazing. That is the kind of like the idea that you want to be doing. But this doesn't necessarily mean that like you need to be doing this all the time and stress out like, I need to run my best map in that middle. Now I need to like get to other tower. How do I even connect to that other tower? Just never mind stressing about this. At the end of the day, it is true that like running the best possible map is certainly going to be giving you an outcome that is decent, right? But at the end of the day, if you think about it, it's only going to be like at most twice as many items. So if you were to run one more map in that time, instead of just stressing out, you're going to be getting perhaps the same results. Maybe a little bit less, sometimes a little bit more, because there's a huge play of RNG involved as well. So you gotta keep on playing at the same time. Think of this like, don't fall for the FOMO, as I said, and think of this like something that is there for you to take advantage of, but you don't necessarily need to maximize it every time. How do I do my approach? I have a lot of returns when it comes to maps, right? It's like I have so many maps over here that I did not roll yet, I did not prepare yet. What I do is I usually come over here, I write over here quantity of items. As you can see, these maps are going to be my priority. I'm going to like take them into my bags. I'm going to exalt them first. I'll fill them up. And then afterwards, if they're very good maps, I usually also instill them with the guild installation, so that like there's delirious maps all the time, and it increases the pack size, so it increases the monsters. The second mod that I search for right after this, when I'm running out of this, is number of rare monsters. As you can see, there's going to be a lot more of these. And in my opinion, this is the second most valuable node, because most of the time when I get a divine or something like, let's say, a perfect jeweler's orb, it is usually from a rare monster. So a rare monster is usually a lot more rewarding for me. So why don't I increase the amount of rare monsters that I'm fighting against in a map? Therefore, this is the second thing that I check out every single time. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't run anything else, because my returns, my map returns, are enough for me to sustain only these 2 months. So I am sure you will get up there eventually as well yourself. But if I were to run something else than this, if I completely ran out of mods, I would do something like pack size. Probably it's pretty good as well. Yeah, something like this is not too bad either. As you can see, 40% pack size is going to be basically expanding the amount of like monsters that you're going to be killing. So you will probably get a little bit extra gold, extra currency, and extra experience along the way. If your sustain isn't so great when it comes to waystone drops, you could certainly look into either purchasing some maps, or obviously re-rolling the white ones with your alchemies, or even the blue ones, upgrading them with regals, and just run them like that. You don't necessarily need to like use 3 or 4 exalts on a map that is not offering you pack size, number of rares, or quantity. I would not personally. And I would use those in connection between the towers or within the towers, because I figured the towers are not so rewarding. So in between the connections, while I'm building from this tower to this tower to this tower to this tower, I'm usually putting in stuff that I like, that I don't favor too much. And while I'm doing the juiced up maps, right, the ones that I would like to run and get some really good rewards from, then I'm putting in the quantity and rarity rolled maps with number of rare monsters, and I also instilled them. If I want to take a little bit more chances, I usually val them also. What does valing a map do? Val most of the time either takes something away, does nothing, or adds something else. So in this case, we are trying to find the adding something else. In most of cases, adding +1 level. So the highest map drop that you can have on the floor is 15, but you can val that 15 map, and maybe sometimes you're going to be getting a Waystone tier 16 out of it, thanks to the corruption, because it gives a +1. Just like on the gems, it ends up giving +1, but it can also end up giving mods, extra mods. So in this one, as you can see, we have 3 prefixes and 3 suffixes. It can end up having 4 of each, even 5 of each, thanks to a val. But sometimes it's going to be taking out the reason that you want to run the map as well. So it's a little bit of corrupted of a run, right? So I check it out after corrupting it, if I still would like to run it, and I run it basically afterwards. I think this pretty much covers all of the things that I want to mention. In between, you're going to be having citadels, and I said, as I said before, you want to run your citadels not necessarily about quantity, quality, rarity, how many rare monsters in there, not necessarily. You want to purely focus on something else instead on your citadel. One thing is that it's very important for you to be able to complete the citadel. That is the reason that you're in there, and you're going to be getting a lot of currency out of the last boss. So you need to be able to kill this last boss. So the map that you're going to be putting into your citadel needs to be doable with your character. That's very important. And then otherwise, afterwards, Waystone drop chance 600%. Something like this is what you want to be running. You can certainly increase this with tablets if you want to like take it one step further. I haven't done it, but you can. Increases quantity of waystones found. This is going to be further buffing the waystone drop rates within that map, and the fragments that you're getting at the end from the boss is going to be considered waystones. So it's basically giving you more and more fragments at the end when you manage to kill the boss of the Citadel, of course. So you can certainly decide to like path towards citadels that are like visible in the cloud, right, in the smoke like this. So I can certainly go there, or I can go towards a place that is like being affected by like multiple towers again, and then path through the towers with lower quality maps, you know, stuff that I didn't exalt, didn't instill, didn't val. They're just like maybe even like blue maps, it doesn't matter. I just run them, and then afterwards I run the more valuable ones that I have in between. But don't stress out about like running the best map in the best node, or like running the best tablet in which one. You know, I think it's better to continue playing and continue building up, and the RNG is going to be favoring you. While doing this, of course, these are the things that I hope you're going to decide to take advantage of to improve your loot. One last thing that I will mention is that like I talked about the rarity on your gear, and I said I'm comfortable around like 150% rarity on your gear. It is certainly fine for you to be entering a map with 0 rarity on you too. I will be able to give some examples from my own spec here as a spark. Think of the rarity as like just another stat that you would like to cap, such as like your resistances. So most of us would like to reach like fire, lightning, and cold resistance around like 75% at the end, right? When we're doing the maps. Think of the rarity something like that too, but it's not that urgent immediately. So I have something like Ingenuity here, for instance, here, right? It's buffing my rings, or the value that I get from my rings. Literally are buffed by 74%. A character, somebody that is like making this character, will probably not have the currency to start with Ingenuity. While they can take advantage of this in another way. They can certainly buy like a cheap belt for themselves that is fixing resistances, huge resistances, and maybe giving a little bit of mana, because mana is important for me. But you can do it for another character, for another build. Perhaps it's going to be health, or maybe just stats like strength rolls on belt, if I'm not mistaken. So it would be strength and resistances. Now thanks to this, maybe your gloves is not gonna have to give that resistance anymore. You know what I'm trying to say? Maybe now you can actually get the rarity from those gloves within a certain, or like a considerable currency. So it's much more affordable thanks to this. And when you start building up towards better rings, then you can start building up afterwards to Ingenuity to buff those rings, right? Like, so one step at a time is how I approach the game. Obviously my character is pretty strong right now, and I have some decent items or strong items, but there's still so much that I want to upgrade, and I'm not there. If I focus on the negative, there's no point playing the game. I think playing the game is actually getting there slowly. So what is my next target? Right now I'm a little bit obsessed with like getting that Calandra's touch. So I'll just continue building up to it, and I hope I can reach it. We'll see. Maybe I won't even be able to reach it, because I think I legitimately need twice as much as currency in my bags right now. So we'll see. But like, that's my goal. That's kind of like keeping me motivated, and I hope I'll be able to get there. We'll see. I'm thinking if there's something else that I want to mention. Obviously these like league mechanics, maybe we can talk about them as well, because like league mechanics on top of like all of this obviously gives you more rewards. I personally run a little bit more breach, but as I said, you can run something like ritual as well. Delirium, a little bit fine on the side content. I am severely you know, I really dislike Expedition. Let's say it doesn't necessarily give you almost anything at all. You could certainly try and find some logbooks and then sell them, because logbooks aren't too cheap actually, but like even selling them is not necessarily that easy to do, since you cannot currency exchange, I think. But this is the type of setup that I prefer on the rituals. And this is the type of setup that I prefer on the breach. And I would like to mention what is the order of this. I start with crumbling walls, which is the most important one in my opinion. So if you have a chance to, you know, stumble upon more breaches basically on your maps. And then I go towards like frantic invasion into Rising Pyre. And then lastly, I take the Sustained Siege. I've seen a lot of guides suggesting Grasping Hands instead of Sustained Siege. I kind of disagree, because Sustained Siege... Okay, Breach is certainly depending on what sort of layout that you're running it on also. So if you're in a place like Crypt, which is like, you know, very narrow corridors and like there's no big opening, that's... Breach is going to be failing no matter how you look at it. It's not going to be that juice. It's not going to be good. Even if your map is insanely rolled and you have insane quantity, the breach will fail to summon many monsters, and you're going to have to like travel a long way to get it in between to two edges of the breach. So you want the breach to be spawning on a good map also. When you have the good map, you have so many enemies everywhere, you cannot necessarily cover all the left side and then all the right side with even a very good character, unless you're blinking around, which is also possible with some other builds. This is only offering you basically more hands and therefore also more splinters coming out of them. And a little bit more monsters. So that is kind of like a reliable currency to make. But as I said in the beginning, having more monsters killed, so reaching all the section of the breach, is a little bit more important in my opinion. Therefore I take the Sustained Siege. It's going to be making it so that like the breach is opening slower and then closing slower as well. Therefore you'll be able to like reach everywhere, hopefully, and you will be killing perhaps a couple more rare monsters. Most of the time it's funny because like if you are having a really good map on a really good layout, and then you have a breach and you open it, most of the time towards the end, like when you're rushing, it is just insane amounts of monsters on the places that you couldn't reach, because like it's the place that you didn't go to yet, and there are so many monsters there. So if you think about it, you really don't want to miss that. And taking Sustained Siege gives you a lot more chances to not miss that. I think this was a little bit convoluted. I am sorry. So we're going to do it like this. I can actually continue talking about this entire strategy in another video as well. If you're new to this game and found this useful, please leave a like and comment if there's anything that you would like to talk further upon. And it will be my pleasure to do so. Thank you for watching, and I'm going to catch you next time.